Olá, amigos! Hoje das montanhas do Capão, esses pássaros aí são os aracuãs, que vieram hoje nos visitar. Passaremos pelas montanhas do Tibete e trazemos para vocês Sua Santidade, o Dalai Lama, falando sobre consciência e as emoções e pensamentos aflitivos. Nesse tempo de quarentena, onde estamos em prisão domiciliar, é um bom momento para investigar esse mundo interior e essas emoções que, estando no nosso inconsciente, nos tomam de uma forma inesperada, as emoções e os pensamentos aflitivos. E é um bom momento da gente investigar esse interior aí. Depois dos aracuãs, vamos aqui ouvir Sua Santidade, o Dalai Lama.
다 시에바슬라베는 그런 정신이 시. 아니 다 시에발이야. 코라를 내년에 중간만 마소네 중매리게 좀 말해 수준에 가오래. 사실 내일 가는 전에 교육주는 거야. 교육 고시하게 가고 싶은 거야.
So, as we discussed earlier, the fact that consciousness exists is a natural fact. The consciousness exists, that is it. And similarly, in terms of the continuum of consciousness, it is again a natural principle. Consciousness maintains its continuity. And according to Buddhism, and there is an understanding that consciousness cannot come into being from nowhere. It cannot come into being without a cause. And also, matter cannot produce consciousness. Consciousness does not come out of matter. Therefore, since consciousness cannot come into being without cause, since So, of course, that is not to say that matter can affect consciousness. Matter can be sort of a condition for the arisal of consciousness. But in terms of actual continuum of consciousness, matter cannot produce consciousness. Because when we are talking about consciousness, the nature of consciousness is this mere luminosity, mere experience, knowing faculty. And that cannot be produced from matter. So since consciousness cannot come into being from no cause, nor can it come into being from material cause, therefore consciousness must come from sort of a ceaseless continuum. And it is, on that premise, Buddhism accepts the existence of beginning, sort of, formal lives. Similarly, we also find a lot of individuals who have very clear and vivid memories of their past lives. So when we talk about the origin of suffering, the sources of suffering, although there are karma and delusions, but the primary cause or the principal cause or origin of suffering really is the delusions. And it seems that depending on different interpretations of the fundamental Buddhist doctrine of anattama, no soul theory, it seems there is also differences in understanding the nature of klesha, nature of afflictive emotions and thoughts.
So now the important thing is that afflictive emotions, afflictive emotion is the ultimate enemy or the source of suffering. And also that is the afflictive emotion. Once it develops within our mind, it immediately destroys our peace of mind. And eventually it destroys our health. And also it destroys our friendship with other people. So all these negative activities, such as killing, or bullying, cheating, all these negative actions should come out of this afflictive emotion. So that's the real enemy. That's the destroyer of our peace, destroyer of our fortune, and including our health. So therefore that's the enemy, real enemy. External enemy today may be harmful to you, but next day may be very helpful. But this is the inner enemy, always remain as a destructive. And moreover, that enemy, wherever you live, always there. That is very dangerous. External enemy, we can put some defensive nature. Also, like 59, we escaped. So we can escape. But there is this enemy, even whether in Tibet or whether in Potala, whether in Dharamsala, whether in here in London, enemy, wherever I go, this enemy there. Even I think some kind of meditation, some kind of visualization of mandala. Still, in the very center of the mandala, that enemy is still there. So this is the point now. We have to realize that. Now because, so you see the real destroyer of our happiness, always there. How to do now? If there is, no possibility, if there is no possibility to overcome that, to eliminate that, then I think better forget. And I think relying more alcohol, sex, all these things, much better. If there is possibility to eliminate that, then I think now we must take this good opportunity, this is human body, human brain, human good heart, combine these two things, try to reduce that and eventually eliminate. So therefore, according to Buddhist teaching, our human body is precious. Why? Because of human intelligence. And it is shaping or it is changing our mind, not only through emotion, but mainly through intellectuals, reasoning. And there are two kinds of emotion. One emotion without any reason, just as a feel, such as hatred or these things. Of course, there are superficial some reasons. Or this person is very harming on me, and then through that kind of analyze, you develop hatred. But in deep down, further goes, there's not much reasons. So it's these emotions without proper reasons. That's the negative emotion. And the other kind of emotion, such as compassion, altruism, a kind of emotion, but with reasons. And to further investigate, you can prove that is something good, that is something necessary, that is something useful. So that kind of emotion is other type of emotion, but very much validated. Very much go well with reasons or intelligence. So the combination, intelligence and emotion, that's the way to change our inner world. So that also, I think, the basic fundamental, the suffering nature. So long that enemy there, so long we are under that enemy's control. No permanent happiness. So once you develop some kind of keen desire to overcome that enemy, now that is the talatini's.
So that is called, that is the true realization of the aspiration to seek freedom, which is technically called renunciation in the Buddhist language.
So you see, this practice, they analyze our emotional level and our inner world is the very important, is the key practice.
Scriptures say that so far as the desire to overcome sort of obvious sufferings, evident sufferings, which is the first level of suffering, suffering, so far as the desire to overcome that level of suffering is concerned, even the animals have that natural desire. And so far as the aspiration or the desire to free oneself or overcome the second level of suffering, the suffering of change is concerned, this is not something that is unique to the Buddhist path. Even non-Buddhists.
Many ancient Indian non-Buddhist thought is similar.
Similar quest.
Inner tranquility through samadhi. So these the practitioner also fully realize the sensational happiness or pleasure is ultimately
unsatisfying
and no use. So that desire you can develop. Now the maybe I think unique or I don't know. That is the Kavadoji domain. Shisi nyumbe shawandu yeba tesidu dawayo mare sedya. That di when the tane nyumo le kidab sedya that Kavadoji domain.
So the true aspiration to seek liberation from suffering or liberation from samsara or to achieve moksha, it can only arise from a recognition of the third level of suffering, that is the dukkha of conditioning, where there is a recognition that so long as we remain under the domination and control of ignorance and the delusions, we are subject to suffering. There is no room for lasting joy and happiness. So based on that recognition, then one can truly develop a genuine desire to seek liberation or to seek moksha.
So now, this is third noble truth. What is nirvana? What is moksha? Or what is nirodha? Cessation. It is something possible or not? Now, that is the key question now.
So this relates, of course, to the third noble truth, that is the truth of cessation or moksha. Now, when talking about the truth of cessation or liberation or moksha, if we were to say that we must accept the existence, the possibility of attaining moksha, because Buddha talked about moksha in the scriptures, I don't think that is satisfactory.
Namdik Navalia, and Namdik Nari, that's all under the Shanayanda, the Shibibishun Navalia, and Tongwani is the Joseph Dulis. Should go to the Shabby Javachi, repeat Javachi, repeat Javachi, she gives don't use Shabby. There is all in the Tom Udamari, Joseph
Here, perhaps it is useful to reflect upon a point which Aryadeva makes in his 400 verses on the middle way, where he argues that when we talk about the ultimate nature of reality, emptiness, we must understand that emptiness is not something, the understanding of which requires reliance on scriptural authority. It is something that we can approach through a critical analysis, through reasoning, and understand it. So emptiness, understanding of emptiness, or can arise from through a process of understanding, through reason. Therefore, in Buddhism, there is an understanding that within the phenomena which are evident to us, obvious to us, of course, we can perceive them directly. There is no need for any logical sort of proof. And then there is a second category of phenomena, which, although may not be obvious to us, but we can infer them through, based on our own direct perception of something. So we can infer them. These are technically known as the category of the slightly obscure phenomena, but they are not completely obscure because we can infer them, we can approach them through a reasoning process. So emptiness belongs to that category. And since emptiness belongs to that category, which is to say that emptiness could be approached through a reasoning process, that we can infer the truth of the emptiness. Therefore, we must also accept that moksha, or liberation, is something that can be understood through that process as well. Because as Nagarjuna says that a true understanding of moksha should be based on an understanding of emptiness. Because moksha is nothing other than the total elimination or total cessation of delusion and suffering within emptiness, or through the insight of emptiness. So understanding of moksha, the concept of moksha, is very much related with the concept of the Buddhist concept of emptiness. And since emptiness can be approached and understood through inferential process, similarly, moksha should be also should be understood, should be capable of being understood or approached through a similar rational process. Because of this sort of intimate connection between the Buddhist concept of emptiness and the Buddhist concept of moksha, in Apisamaya Alamkara, which is a classical text written by Maitreya, when talking about the third noble truth, the truth of cessation or nirodha, there is an extensive discussion of the 16 types of emptiness, 16 classes of emptiness. So the fact that emptiness is an ultimate, the fact that moksha or liberation is an ultimate truth is something that is very explicitly discussed in Chandrakriti's writing. So it seems that whether or not one can accept the possibility of moksha or liberation seems to be dependent on how well we understand the Buddhist concept of emptiness.
Some questions?
Se inscreva no canal se gostou do vídeo. Ative as notificações. Deixe o seu like.